Hello and greetings, everyone. It's Mr. Tilbury here, and let's talk about Dunkirk. Honestly, though, I can't really spoil Dunkirk any more than I can spoil Schindler's List or Valkyrie, which are based on real events that you can go and research at any time. The only thing I can spoil for you with Dunkirk is the format of the movie. It's not a movie like Saving Private Ryan or Braveheart, where it dramatizes real characters and events with war as a backdrop and setting. Rather, Dunkirk favors particular detail to fact. Dunkirk is a Christopher Nolan film that dramatizes the evacuation of the English army from Dunkirk, France, during the early days of World War II, and it's remarkably non-linear. It didn't feel like a traditional war movie by any means whatsoever. It featured stellar camera work, immersive acting, incredible sound editing, Oscar stuff, beautiful cinematography, and I didn't like it. They say the mark of a great artist is the ability to defy expectations, and Dunkirk absolutely did that for me. See, there's a saying in England known as having the Dunkirk spirit. It refers to the public coming together to overcome adversity. It's one way of looking at it anyway. And the movie certainly had that, but it didn't really focus on any sort of unity or brotherhood in any engrossing way. It felt like, I just felt like that was a really big wasted opportunity. Ditched was the notion of a main character, traded instead for faces, who had names, but didn't seem to matter, who merely showed different perspectives from the land, the sea, and the air to paint for the audience a tapestry of events rather than follow a standard Hollywood screenplay of a 3-act or a 5-act structure. The land, sea, and air storylines do intersect at the end, though it wasn't entirely building up to it. No German soldiers even given a face, and we only see the effects of their attacks. And so there is no exploration of like good guys and bad guys, nor the nature of war, only that these are the people trying to escape and these are the people that are trying to stop them. It all just kind of happens. Now, if you're familiar with the films of Christopher Nolan, you know that they're often very, 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 very wordy and heavy with exposition, explanation on top of explanation, story, just being hammered into you. All this, the words of his stories, with Inception being a colossal example, but even The Dark Knight and especially Interstellar, they just hammer you with all this scripted information. With Dunkirk, Nolan did the furthest possible thing from that. Dunkirk had no script, at all. It was remarkably silent, favoring visual representation of struggles instead of forced exposition, with a minimalistic soundtrack, with loud, oppressive sounds of combat and explosions being kind of bore into you, making it very, very immersive. Interstellar, in my opinion, is a very masterful science fiction movie, but a major shortcoming of it is how artificial the characters can be sometimes, talking like they're chess pieces being issued commands from an intelligent force rather than organic characters, and that's sometimes Dunkirk's problem. Because the script is so bare, I didn't even know what half the characters' names were. Therefore, I didn't ever really felt any particular empathy for their struggle, and that's a big problem. It evokes a very dangerous set of 8 words, 8 deadly words. I don't care what happens to these characters. They are faces struggling, and that's it. Dunkirk absolutely breaks the mold of Nolan's cliches, but it still cannot escape his relentless, heartless logic in filmmaking. But as I said, Dunkirk is a visual experience, and that's really the highest compliment you can give a motion picture. Movies are an art form that thrive in the visual representation of events, and Dunkirk doesn't rely on special effects or character drama to pull you into a dazzling display of real-life events. It's an extremely immersive experience that never has to rely on cliches, giving you a unique and harrowing look into one of World War II's most well-known moments, entirely on the visual spectrum. If you look at the oft-praised Wall-E, of all movies. The first 45 minutes or so is a decent analog to how Nolan handles visual investment, minus the comedy, of course. Everything that happens in Wall-E before he goes into space is filmmaking in its purest form, wherein the audience is treated to a journey of events using only our basic senses. Of course, Wall-E's second half falls victim to being a, generic kids movie, but that's not the point. The comparison stops there. My point of comparison is that Dunkirk is a rare Hollywood movie that doesn't rely on traditional storytelling at any point, similar to the first half of Wall-E. But, as I said, the mark of a master is the ability to defy expectations. When I think of Hollywood movies that heavily feature war, I often think of Platoon, Apocalypse Now, Private Ryan, Fury, recent movie with Brad Pitt, wherein we journey with a group of named personalities who struggle through their quest. Instead, Dunkirk's characters do not follow arcs and do not go through growth. They are the same characters from start to finish, which frankly is more like real life. It doesn't follow any set of rules in terms of how a war movie is supposed to play out, which suggests to me that Christopher Nolan was given the freedom to create the movie that he wanted, not necessarily what a studio wanted. So to wrap this up, Dunkirk is a treat for those who study history and those who wish to see a non-traditional Hollywood movie. My issues with Dunkirk came from it squandering an opportunity to feature brotherhood and unity on the battlefield, instead focusing much more of his attention on the beaches and the English Canal, and it ended up losing a lot of much-needed exploration of humanism in a story all about the willingness of the general population to come to the aid of those who fight, as in the spirit of Dunkirk. And that only takes up a very small percentage of the film, and to me, that was a great loss. Yet, it still manages to have some excellent thrills, and is expertly crafted on so many levels it's hard to even count. And I am certain that this film is going to be Oscar bait. I give this movie a 9.0 out of 10 for being exactly the movie it wanted to be, but ultimately did not thrive in the study of the nature of the human spirit. Thanks for being a nerd with me, and go have a great day.